Welcome to another edition of Raya's Power International. Today I want to talk about the Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym, the Gold's Gym of the Midwest, the bodybuilding, powerlifting mecca of the Midwest. Now, this gym, located in Peoria, Illinois, was founded by Bob Rosa in 1974. He located on Knoxville Avenue. And what makes it so unique and so similar to the Gold's Gym in Venice, California, is that his equipment was homemade as well. Now, Bob actually told me that he went down to the construction site where they were building the Caterpillar plant in Mapleton, Illinois, and there was a lot of steel lying out on the field. And he actually went down there and stole that steel, and he and his buddies actually welded the material together to produce all of his gym equipment. And he had a lot of equipment. So, I mean, it's funny, but it's true. He told me it's true, and I believe him. So let's take some time now to talk about the Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym and all the antics that went on over there for many decades. In 2004, I wrote a feature story for Powerlifting USA magazine regarding Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym, and it was placed in the column entitled Hardcore Gym. We were Hardcore Gym number 43. Now, this column was sponsored by Rick Brewer of the House of Pain, who sold accessories to powerlifters. Now, Rick wanted to compare us to a hardcore mentality, and he chose the Maasai warriors of Africa. He stated, "The Maasai warriors are uniformly feared over the entire African continent. They refuse to use firearms, even archery equipment, expertly using the spear. Now, young warriors, or Moran, must kill a lion with a spear to be considered a man." Now, Rick described the Maasai spears. They have 3-foot-long razor-sharp blades. Even the standard knife carried in Maasai land is a 2-foot-long double-sided razor that would be judged a short sword elsewhere. Now, recently, he stated, a group of Somali outlaws took control of a major Nairobi road near Maasai land. Now, these Somalians were provided with unlimited modern assault weapons by the protective warlords. The military and police in the area learned to stay away. Tanzania was not safe. But then the government gave up and asked the Maasai to handle the problem. Now, the Maasai had tolerated the Somalians, for quite a while, but once their assistance was requested, their honor was at stake. No details on the number of Maasai spearmen involved were available because the only survivors are Maasai and they aren't talking. He goes on to state, "The bloody scene attested to the fierce battle, but the Somali bodies are completely unidentifiable. The Maasai presented the largest recognizable parts, Somali ears, to the Tanzanian government as proof that the problem was solved." Now, competent warriors with efficient tactics triumph every time, Rick said. They triumph over bigger budgets, and in the powerlifting world, they conquer bigger teams with better gear. So he compared us to, the Maasai warriors because they did not have the advanced equipment. We did not have the advanced equipment that you would get at a modern commercial gym. We had equipment that was made in 1974, and here we were in 2004 and still turning out world champions. So let's talk a little bit about who those world champions were. Now, Mike Bridges is the most famous of all the members of Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym. He was a powerlifter who, at the time of the writing of the article in 2004, had racked up 8 world powerlifting titles. Now, he also had a younger brother, Bob, who in 1995 made an unofficial world record deadlift of 735 pounds in the 165-pound weight class. Still another world champion at Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym was Freddy Higgins. He racked up 5 world titles in the 80s and 90s. He had an amazing bench press record, 319 pounds in the 123-pound weight class. Now, in the bodybuilding world, Greg Ulrich, who has since passed away recently, actually placed 10th in the Mr. America contest. That was a very high placing, considering there are 50 people from all 50 states to compete against. Now, Bob Kuhn, who was with Bob Rosa since he opened the gym, has won 2 world arm wrestling titles. So, as you can see, there have been many world champions in different sports that have hailed from Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym. Now let's take a look at some of the old equipment at Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym. In this first photograph, you'll see me squatting at the old squat rack. Now what's funny about this is that that squat rack was so beat up over the years that it was re-welded. Parts were actually added to it to reinforce it over the years, and the colors didn't match. The paint didn't match. Now, what you don't see in the foreground are 2 pegs at the bottom of the squat rack that held 200-pound plates that were specifically cut for Mike Bridges. They were what we called slots. They were accurate. But Mike has since left the gym, and we simply used them to hold down the squat rack. Now, in the background, you see 2 of the very old vertical leg presses that are no longer manufactured because there is a liability. It's hard on the back. But the bodybuilders used to get under those vertical leg presses and actually work their calves. In this next picture, you'll see me in the foreground on the right, and on the left is Bob Bridges approaching me to bench press. We had one good powerlifting bench press with the uprights far apart like they should be. The rest of the benches, if you notice, had the uprights very close together. And that's how equipment was built initially. The uprights were always very close together, and therefore the benches were very, very tippy. In this next photograph, you see me on the leg press. Now, this is a rather comical photograph once you start to pick it apart. You can see that there's a chain hanging from the top of the leg press, and that's actually our safety mechanism. If you were to overload the leg press and then not be able to complete the lift, the chain prevented the weight from crushing you. Rather crude. But you can also see that the backrest was supported by a wooden block, and the backrest was also cushioned with a little portable cushion. It was not actually upholstered, so we just threw that cushion on there. Now, it was originally made to be a hack squat, and the platform for the feet to actually do a leg press was later installed. As you can see, it was a different color, and it was rather steep. We did the best we could with what we had, but it was rather steep. In this fourth and final photograph, you see me standing with Axe and Smash, the demolition from the old WWF wrestling. And what you don't see to the right of the photograph is the old payphone. There was no phone other than the payphone. And so the phone would ring off the hook, Bob would answer the phone and often be asked to accept the charges. It was a collect phone call. So it was a comical place. It was a serious place. There were many things that happened that were absolutely outrageous, and we'll talk about those next. Now, in the 1980s, steroids were prevalent at Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym. There was a lot of buying and selling and using going on, and you might see some needles in the garbage. It wasn't unusual, and these drugs affected people in different ways. It depended on the person's personality, but we had one such character that upon entering the gym one day, Bob Rosa found him squatting in the middle of the gym, completely naked. Now, this same individual would like to provoke fights, and since the black folks would wear shower caps on their heads when they were trying to get their hair to conform to the hairstyle of the time, he would walk in the gym with his underwear on his head, just trying to start a fight. So these types of antics happen all the time. This same individual tried to get me to wrestle him in the gym in the presence of the WWF wrestlers. I was the assistant manager at the time, and he actually grabbed me and tried to throw me onto the floor. Well, I had enough martial arts experience that I knew not to let go of him, and of course we both went down on the floor. And at that point, one of the wrestling managers came over and told him, "Let's go to lunch." And he explained to him that if he wanted to be a wrestler, that he was going to have to lose for the first 2 years. And he came back in all sad sack, and that idea went right down the drain. Now, another bodybuilder that we had in the gym was a trapper, a hunter, a fisherman, and he was running trap lines at the time of this incident, and he brought in a bunch of animals. I remember he took a very large beaver into the gym, skinned the beaver in the gym. Bob wasn't too happy about that, but he let it go. Now, at the time, he also had a possum that he had caught. He didn't want it. Possums weren't bringing any money. So what did he do? He threw it out in the street, right where the cars would park. So his birthday was about a week later, and I had acquired the possum, put it in a box, wrapped it up, and that was his birthday present. The thing was, he knew he wouldn't open the present. Then we also had some rather interesting residents in the gym. We had a little toad that lived in a hole in the wall, and he lived there for quite a while. There used to be a little girl, a little toddler that used to come in to see Mr. Toad. And that's when I was the assistant manager. And finally, one of the big, brave bodybuilders smashed the Toad. And of course, we had cockroaches. And we would have 5-gallon buckets around the gym in different strategic locations for people to throw their soda cans. We had a soda machine in the gym. And I pull the cans out, crush the cans, because we take them to the recycling center and get money for them. And what happened when I crushed the cans? The cockroaches would run out of the cans. Now, these are all true stories, but it was quite a place. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of aggravation, but I can say it was colorful. Now, everybody that knew Bob Rosa knew that he was tight. And Bob would not pay for garbage pickup. So what he would do is gather his garbage up every week and take it to a local business, throw it in their dumpster. And oftentimes he got caught. He got away with it, but he'd be running down the street with these guys screaming at him, not knowing who he was, so they couldn't follow up. But that's actually what happened on a weekly basis. I could go on and on with story after story simply because Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym was in business for so long. However, I will say that the work ethic at Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym was unmatched. And the reason for that was many of the lifters competed. They were very serious about their training. And we don't see that so much anymore. The knowledge isn't there anymore. The commercial gyms just don't have the knowledge because they don't have the competitive experience. That's where you learn powerlifting and bodybuilding, through competitions, rubbing your shoulders with the best of the best. You pick their brains. And that's what these gentlemen did. They used to sit around before there were any magazines at these meets and exchange ideas, exchange phone numbers, and call each other from time to time with questions. How are you trained deadlift? How do you squat? How did you get your squat to increase? What do you use for nutrition? What supplements do you use? And this is how these people developed. That's all gone now, but it developed a work ethic, and it developed character, and that's one of the things that we no longer see. But that was, in essence, Central Illinois Weightlifting Gym. It will never be matched again.
I'd like to thank everybody for watching today's video. I've been power bodybuilding now for 37 years, and I want to share that information with you. So if you've enjoyed today's video, please subscribe and share with your friends.